Hello, my name is Kevin O'Leary, and I have some substantial mental issues, brain issues that we're trying to correct and figure out how to deal with it. That's fundamental.
And I'm Kathy O'Leary, and I am Kevin's wife. And we're just new to on this journey together, and trying to do everything we can to delay any more cognitive decline.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Why did you go see a doctor?
Well, it's been a number of years ago. I used to go to see my local doctor, and he addressed it a bit and put me on some testings, and that was a while back, right? That was probably 6 years ago.
Yeah, well, it was about 3.5, 4 years ago. And a lot of it was prompted when we went to Wales, and family friends were noticing, family and friends were noticing, what would you say? They would like the repeating of stories, change in your...
So my memory aspect was, I could say it again, and I'd feel a little strange about it. Kath would recognize it, and you've already talked about that. So that was one of the first things that kind of shut me up a bit. It made me be a little more quiet, and then if I had a question, someone asked me about that, then I could talk about it. But it creates a small wall in front of you to avoid communications that you think you've already told them, and it's embarrassing kind of thing.
So after the diagnosis, immediately what's the emotion at that point?
I'd have to really think about that. We so many different people we saw that they weren't giving me answers. I wasn't really asking questions, but sometimes I repeated myself. And I have somebody used to look at me when I was a kid, so she would kind of correct me because she recognized it, and she'd worked with people like that before. So it was a help for me to, like, she could help me understand what I was doing and what I needed to do, and any other way to help, or try and help somebody else understand that I had a problem that takes a bit of time to address.
So at the diagnosis, what was your thought, your initial thought?
Well, there's a lot of sadness that went along with it, and just grief, and just confused, really, where do we go from here? What happens? What are the next steps? What do we do?
It's the other thing is that we live in the country, and I'm always working in and around the house. I used to go outside with people, but as time's gone on, I tend to stay more at the house and work around the house all the time. So Kath goes to certain things. You can go to a bar, and there's all the people she worked with and all that. You can go in there and talk to them. If I go in there, I have trouble hearing and discussing, because I know some of the people, but not all of the people. So it gets to the point where I'm a little quiet, and I don't find myself awareness. It doesn't help me. So those are the things I kind of, and it kind of shuts me up. So then I'm there for a little bit maybe, but then I haven't been back since. And it's some of the guys I know, and they're really nice, but there's other people that once they start talking, it's so loud that I have trouble figuring out who's talking to who. And that makes me kind of shut up a bit.
Yeah, and I think, again, with the initial diagnosis too, we weren't shocked because we had noticed some differences and recorded those and talked a lot about that. But it was just more, it's hard to get that news. But I would say when he was reassessed 2 years later, and then it was Alzheimer's, that was sort of shocking, because we didn't really notice that much of an increase in the cognitive decline, and so it was just yeah, it was confusing to get that diagnosis.
Yeah. So the other aspect of that is that I'd be thinking differently as time went on. So there's nobody around. I'm working around the house all the time, and I'm thinking differently. And so sometimes I don't remember people's names, or I've got to do something, but I can't remember when do I start it. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm hiding myself, trying to figure out how I can correct myself, which is not a simple thing.
Kevin, you've used the word, you feel you need to shut up. You feel you need to correct yourself. Does a lot of your feeling and your emotion have to do with what people are going to think about you?
Yeah, because it's like people used to work with me. I was the boss, and they weren't. But if I meet them now, I feel, it's a little embarrassing that I can't remember their names, or they're coming over and we're talking and catching up, and they ask me, are you okay? And those things come up, and I say, yeah, I have some issues. My memory isn't the greatest, and at this particular time, I'm trying to, figure out where I need to go, what I need to have done. And if it's direct, that's great. If it's not direct, that's going to be a problem. So the solution to find the issues I have to go to different places all the time and try and determine those people, if they can correct what I do. That'd be a big advantage. But I think it's, how many times do we see things? We see a lot of people, and the address of that is, it'd be nice to be able, if we can get back to them after they've recognized and they can tell me what I need to do, if they can bring me back in and then kind of help me figure out what I need to do to simplify my memory, and also look at people and not be too embarrassed.
How does it feel for you to watch this, Kathy?
Well, for the first 2 years, Kevin didn't want to share with anyone his diagnosis. So that was really difficult, because he is, I think he was feeling, I'm putting words in your mouth and I don't mean to, but shame about being diagnosed with memory issues. And so we didn't share with anyone, because I was honoring that request of him, but that was it was very difficult on both of us. And then when he did get diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia, then we just had a chat and just said, this is a disease like any other disease, and we need to share this, and then there's understanding from people, and you don't have to be embarrassed. So that was really important. That was a big step. And Kevin did the sharing, he called his sisters and he shared with his sisters, so that's really important to share it and take away that stigma of mental health, of memory issues and with Alzheimer's, because some things maybe you're not capable of anymore, but you can still be engaged and be part of society and of groups. And I just think it's important to know that, when people know, that's, if they're thinking, oh, that's kind of weird, he's saying that again, or this is getting frustrated with him. I think it's really important to know what's happening. Yeah.
It's we're in a place that I've just arrived at. And when I'm talking about that, is I'm talking to other people and they just don't understand, or they embarrass me, or that's happened a number of times. But the fact is that if I can talk to somebody who would have an ability. So we saw, what was the gentleman we went to? And he was very good, and I'd sit with him and we'd talk. And Kathy, you were there. And
you mean Dr. Prowski, or do you mean, our other, when we went for counseling?
yeah, it's right beside Yeah, I can't remember his name now. But anyway, the point was, I'd go there again and talk to him, and he'd ask questions, and he'd ask, when you talk with other people and you talk to them, how does it work? And I'd say, well, it depends who that individual is. If it's somebody who's close to me, they can put up with understanding what problem I have, and they've asked me, and I don't mind them if they ask me. If they ask me that, I can say, well, I appreciate your help. There's times when I have to rethink things, and being with you, it's been not a problem, but with somebody else, it is a problem. And so that kind of give them, they understand now, and they'll come and talk to me, and they'll do things with me, and it makes it a lot easier for me. But again, there's a lot of other people I know that kind of hear about me, but they don't talk to me anymore, and that happens periodically.
Kevin, can you give me a glimpse into your mind? Thought processes. What happens? Where do they break down? And what's the emotion that follows that?
Yeah. So if I was talking about work, when I was working, I was one of the lead commanders, right? So there was only 5 of us, and we used to run all the nuclear reactors. But we had a lot of people coming in that were new, and we had to train them and all that. So that wasn't a big deal. But one of the guys, there was actually 6 of us. 5 of us would rotate through, and one guy would be on days for a couple of months. And what happened was he had a major accident, and he lost his leg. Oh, no. And so there were only 5 of us left. So one guy had to go to day. The 4 of us then would run the 5 teams. So we'd work all these super hours. But the workers would then come to us and work better because they knew that, there was only a few guys. And so they'd work with us and get it done. That went on for about a year.
Yeah. And can I ask you something right now, though, Kev? Like, when being asked these questions, like, what are you thinking? Like, how is
back then it
no, right now in this
okay,
in this situation right now,
I'm thinking
Kevin
right now,
asking you questions.
So if something, if I know what to do, I think about it a lot. And if people ask me questions about it, I'll have to say, well, give me an hour, and I'll review it. So it was always it wasn't a straight answer. It was, let me think about it, and then I get the answer for it, and that helped a lot, right? But and we all the guys in my position basically did that because we were the senior guys.
So now, today, thoughts come into your mind, or there's a task at hand.
Yeah. So it's like I'm down in the basement doing skis, and it was last year, and I'm trying to figure out where's all the gear I need to clean them up and then get all the bases done. So I'd done that, and I've done that many years in a row. But sometimes I put it all away, and my basement is a working shop, and then I'm trying to find the box where I've put all that stuff for the to do the skis again. But it's I don't mind doing that.
What do you do when you have to, like, when you want it with the wax, you need a wax. So what kind of, what was your process, Kev, thinking about?
Yeah, so it's trying to get the material you need for skis. And what's happening is skis, the stuff they have in the ski shops are expensive, no big deal. But I'd buy that so I can do the skis and make them very slippery, and they're good for for skiing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll repair a bunch of skis, and then.
So if you're looking for, okay, where did I put that wax? Where did I put that? Where did I put this? But you can't recall at that point.
Yeah.
What's the feeling that you get? Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it?
Well, it depends so I've done, let's say there's 6 pairs of skis, right? So I've done them all, and then I leave them dry for 2 or 3 days, and then I come back and take the wax off down to its minimum. So that's not a problem.
But when you can't find something, or when you weren't sure how to do the tiles in the bathroom, Kev, how did you feel at that?
Yeah, well, that was a little different, yeah. The one upstairs you're talking about.
No, but just like that example, like when you were trying to do something, but you weren't sure like where something was, a tool was that you needed. How do you feel when you can't find something?
I got all these, they're basically shelves, and they're all the stuff on it, and I can find them, But sometimes I've used, like, so I've done the skis, and I've done these couple hours, I've done that. And then what I'll do is, I'll sort that out and put them in the boxes again, and I'll put them there. And then a week later, I might try to find them. Hang on, where did I put them? But the skis are ready to go.
So what do you do? I mean, do you get
I-
angry? Do you pound the desk?
What I do is I pull them all out, take it all apart, and then
It's so practical.
I know you're not going to get.
It is so you're so practical. And I guess I find that fascinating because it's probably the healthiest way to approach any sort of cognitive decline.
right. But it's not I don't feel worried about it. I just sometimes, like, I take it apart and I've done the skis and I put it back in a box, but then it turns out I put one in front of it. So then I find it and I take it apart and I do the skis.
Do you ever get angry at yourself, or do you?
I get frustrated sometimes on the equipment I have, because it's pretty old, right? So I've had a machine, so I have good machines for it, so I use them all the time.
Yeah.
But the older ones, I keep them in case I need them.
But with anything else, with going into a room and forgetting why you went into that room, or looking for tiles that for the bathroom, and you can't, at that point, can you try and force it in your mind?
Well, I ended up getting the tiles down at a tile shop, the white ones, and so I bought them. It was like $100. That was normally it'd be about $400. So I brought it home, and then the guy who was doing it put those up, did a great job on it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm glad that he did it, so I didn't have to mess it up. But yeah, it took a while to get done.
But you didn't, that was another sign, Kevin, like of, that there was something, because Kevin's always been able to do, he's done everything in our home. And then it came to these tiles to go up in the bathroom. And you remember, you said to me you kept watching the same YouTube over and because you weren't sure, how will I do this?
And you just used the term so I wouldn't mess it up.
Yeah, that's.
So I don't think you would have used that term a few years ago.
No.
So what?
No.
So the guy that came in to do it, and because I bought all these parts now, and he came in and I showed him, and he says, "Oh, that's fantastic. It'll be good, easy." And he showed me what he did, and it took him a day, and he was done.
Yeah.
I'd be still there. But he was very good, and he gave me a sheet, and he says, "Look, if you need some other stuff done around, here's this." So he's a good guy. If we need upstairs bathroom or anything else, he'd be the guy to get.
So Kathy, when you're having a conversation with Kevin, and he repeats something, and then he repeats it again, what's happening in your mind?
Well, used to be, I would say, "Remember, I just told you that. Remember? Well, he doesn't remember. And so you have to stop saying, remember. For me, I have to stop using that. And so we have, Kevin's guy has a calendar now and things, we write things down so that, he can refer to that. So, and also it's just, if he asks me the same thing, he really doesn't remember. And so I answer it again. And then that's why we have a whiteboard and we have a calendar and we have things written down so that, it doesn't have to be, that he doesn't always have to ask me. And I can just say, "Oh, let's have a look at the calendar." Rather than, "I just told you, it's written down here, go ahead and, So it's just sort of that offering grace and being able to really, I don't know, I'm not in his mind. I don't know, I'm sure, I know it's scary and frustrating and for him too, these things are happening. And so I'm trying to learn how to best support him as a care partner. And
you're learning too.
I'm learning, and we do courses together and we go to therapists together and we do all these things together so that we can, best support each other through this. Yeah.
What do you want people to know? Whether they're strangers, whether they're friends, whether they're family, what is it that if you could just scream from the rooftops, "Hey everybody, listen," what would that be?
Kat talked about is my sisters in our family. Directly told them that what issues I have and what we've seen doctors and multiple things, and they're worried about it, but they also are glad that I spoke to them about it. And both sisters are very concerned about me, and so that I still talk to them. I always use the phone, so they how are you doing? How are you this? How's that? So they're very aware of what I'm like, and when they found out about it, maybe it picked up something that they'd thought about me before. So I'm not sure how that works, but
your friends, you spoke of friends sometimes that
yeah.
don't understand.
Well, yeah, it's a different world, right? So my world was when I worked. And I always worked with people, and I had to go to this place, I had to go all over the place. So when Cass, all her friends are teachers. And so when I get to them, I feel like I'm a kind of an odd person in this world because their approach in life is different from mine. And that itself kind of makes me think about it before I talk to anybody. And that kind of limits me sometimes.
Kathy, what do you want people to know in particular?
Yeah, I think that this is a disease, but I think that you just never know what people are going through. And if you do notice something, if you notice a change in behavior of someone, or just something's a little off, then to share that and say it, and not wait and think, I know since we've started sharing Kevin's diagnosis, many of our friends have said, oh, I knew like that, and it was really good friends of ours and also family members that said, you know what, something's not quite right. And then that opens up the door for us to share and feel like, okay, like this is what's going on. So I think if just to, yeah, it's okay to I think of, when I know if you're really sick and you're thin, like you get really thin all of a sudden and people will say, are you okay? Like, have you got cancer? And so those kinds of things. And whereas like sometimes maybe just little things, if you notice, like I said, about change in behavior or yeah, retelling of stories or, yeah, and just even like a lack of confidence and kind of pulling back from social situations. If you notice that, to, yeah, to talk about it. Like it's okay to talk about. Yeah.
I do have some friends from university, and we were just at a Christmas party or at their house. But the point was, they know about what I have, and so they kind of, it's a bit of a joke, so they don't mind. They make me laugh. But it is.
Well, they don't think it's a joke.
No, but it is.
They understand.
They understand, so they've been around
They
me.
can use humor around
Yeah.
it.
Yes, of course.
We
Yeah.
were the guys living in a house at university, and now we're at somebody's house. And it's been, a long time ago.
Your words to people who are just starting this journey.
I'd say it's an assessment aspect. So if you're in a room with a bunch of people and they start talking to you, and there's a lot of people, sometimes it's hard to understand what they're saying because there's other people talking around them. So I always try and say, if someone's talking to me, I'll try and go closer to them so I can ask the question again. But and some of the people know me and they don't mind, and they'll come up and talk and all that. But there are others that don't know me, and I just it's embarrassing.
You shy away.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who's just gotten a diagnosis?
Well, one, if let's say it was you, and I'd say, so what kind of diagnosis do you have? And they'd tell me, and I'd say, well, that's kind of not the same as mine, but it is in effect a brain damage aspect, and I'm sure that's much like you, but yours is different than me. So when I see them next, they talk to me, right? And that's kind of nice. But it's also they'll talk and then they'll forget, they'll stop, and That's what they're trying to rethink again. And it's got to be like them. They're thinking like me, and I'm thinking like them. And it does create a, how would you say, you think about yourself, you keep quiet, and then once it settles itself out, you can start again. And that's what I try and do.
Kathy, for someone who's just about to, or just going through the very first steps in this journey?
I'd say, educate yourself, inform yourself, listen to ask the different doctors for advice. But then you kind of decide, I feel like I drop so many balls because, you hear about this research and this, and everyone's always is telling you like, oh, did you hear about this and what you could do? And then I would get overwhelmed with, oh, and I'm not doing enough. Like, I'm not supporting Kevin in the best way I can. And, but then I know one of our doctors just said to us, like, because I was asking all these questions again, and he goes, what you're doing right now, like, stay the course. Like, you guys are really, you've gotten the physical activity going, you've got, the proper diet, the supplements and all of that. And just, trust and that you are doing, that you're doing everything that you can, and that, you're doing it to the best of your ability.
Well, thank you, both of you, for sharing. I wish you well on your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.